Hello and welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute-a-day podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse, recorded here in the dining room of the Bible Bistro, located in Sharonville, Ohio. Hey there friends, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. And today in the Bible Bistro we're looking at Psalm 54 verse 4. Now this verse comes after the Selah. Now remember, we have quite a bit of an introduction here because this takes us back to 1 Samuel 23 when the Ziphites came before Saul and they ratted out David. They said, "Oh, don't you know that David's living among us? Why don't you come on down and you can have him?" I'm sure that there was more to that deal than just that. Certainly they were looking for some favors from Saul. And as I mentioned yesterday, Saul, he reacts so positively, and it's almost sad the way Saul reacts because he says, "Blessed are you of the Lord." Well, they are anything but that. And we're going to find that out today here in verse 4. Let me just go ahead and read that. "Behold, God is mine helper. The Lord is with them that uphold my soul." So when Saul says, "Blessed are you of the Lord," that's a lie, because the Lord's not blessing them. You see, the Ziphites, they haven't discerned rightly. Their discerning is based on what they might achieve. They're looking for the payout. They're looking for the benefit. They're looking for the favors that they might gain from Saul. And Saul treats them very well. He speaks very kindly to them. There in 1 Samuel 23, 19 through 26, he tells them that they have shown him compassion, and then he blesses them in the name of the Lord. Well, there's nothing further from the truth. They're not blessed because they're just looking for what they can get out of the situation. They're not acting in integrity. They're not acting or walking in uprightness, because what they want is what they want, and they'll sell David out to get it. So when I say they're not discerning properly, they have not discerned between Saul, who is a man of the flesh and a man of evil, and a man who is possessed. They have not discerned Saul against David. David is the man of God. He's the one that God has anointed to be future king. And so instead of helping David and continuing to hide him from Saul, they run off to Saul because of what they might achieve by having the favor of the current king. They're not thinking about the future, and they're not thinking about what's right and what's wrong. You see, sometimes we do that very thing. We gauge our actions, or we plan our actions based on what they might achieve for us, what benefit we might get out of them, instead of thinking a little deeper and thinking about how we might act in integrity and in uprightness towards the people that are around us. Toxic people that are going to sell us out, the Lord is not with them, and God is with us. So we need to remember that we're first of all going to go to Him, and secondly, we're going to walk in His ways, which means walking in righteousness and in holiness and in integrity, and using wisdom to discern what relationships are healthy and what relationships are not healthy. And if the Ziphites had used a little discernment to distinguish between what was healthy and what wasn't, they would never have gone before Saul. And so when David, writes this in his prayer, "God is mine helper," that's exactly what the Ziphites didn't do, because the Ziphites went to Saul and they looked to Saul to be their helper. David ran to the throne of grace and he asked the Lord God to be his helper. Who won that contest? Well, as I said yesterday, of course it was David, because God is our helper, right? He is the current help. He is our only help. Make haste, Lord, to help us. That's our prayer. That's always our prayer. God is our helper. He's the only one. And so the Lord is our helper, as David says here in verse 4. He is with them that uphold my soul. Well, join me again tomorrow, church, and we will look at verse 5 here on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. For more fresh and delicious Bible studies, podcasts, books, and more, Check out the Bible Bistro online and on YouTube. Join me again next time for Daily Dose Radio.